40 minutes. We don't even have to go to Dublin because we've just been told that JHG Analytical Services Lab in Cologne do this kind of work. And John Goff of JHG Analytical Services in Cologne joins me now. Good morning, John.
Good morning, Billy. How are you?
I'm very well indeed. Thank you for contacting us. Dirty diesel, what do you do about it?
Oh, dirty diesel. It's a big one. It's a big issue at the moment. We're an independent contract laboratory here in Airport Business Park in Waterford here. And we didn't set up originally as a petrochemical analysis laboratory, but I'll tell you that that part of our business, that discipline of our business is the one that's growing mostly. There's huge potential there at the moment for us anyway, because there's so much dirty diesel around at the moment. It's a big problem, and it's costing people a lot of money, and there's a lot of bloodshed out there at the moment, Billy. We've had situations where people have come into us with samples. We've run full tests on the samples, and they've had jeeps and they've had cars and vans and that, with maybe up to about 10 to 12 grand's worth of damage done between injectors, injector heads, fuel pump components, that type of thing. Unfortunately, up to about the end of last year, I think the insurance companies were more or less, honouring payment on all of this, and they were covering payment for any dirty diesel problems that accrued. But unfortunately for the consumer now, I think they shut the door on that from about the beginning of January, and that presents a big problem, because there are even situations. We're looking back on our records here, 11 cars, 12 cars, and even we got our first 131 the other day. Would you believe it's 131?
My God!
Yeah. And imagine spending that kind of money, maybe 35, 40k on a car, and 3 months into a brand new car, having to dip in again with another 12, 15
So these
grand,
car owners, John, are having the problem with the dirty diesel. Are they coming to you and saying, look, I thought I was buying it from a legitimate source? Absolutely,
yeah. The problem here is that people are of the impression that the problematic diesel that's in circulation at the moment, Billy, is coming from over the border. In wash diesel or launder diesel, call it what you want. But I mean, if you're unfortunate enough to get a fill of it, you're in trouble. And that's true. That's all true. But we're finding that trending on the type of customers that we have and the results that we're getting. We're finding that a lot of this dirty diesel, a lot of this bad diesel, it's not necessarily dirty diesel, it's contaminated diesel with, properties like corrosive properties, that type of thing. We're finding that that's coming from reputable sources as well. Your producer, Jennifer, told me that I wasn't to name any garages.
No, please don't. Yeah.
No, I won't, because there's no point. I mean, because basically I'd be naming them all. There's no hard and fast rule, Billy. They're coming from everywhere, all reputable sources. The problem in this country...
And what are they doing about it?
Well, I don't know. You mean, you had your man, your buddy, what is it, Conor Fulton from AA Roadwash on a few months ago there. And, again, he alluded to this problem that, dirty diesel, launder diesel over the border. Now, we get a lot of business, from around Cavan and, around Louth and Meath and that, around, border counties and that. And while that's there, and that's, that's very, very real and that, he specified, particularly your interview with him the last time, he was specifying, he was just commenting on dirty, on this wash diesel. And if you were going, that if you were one of these people who was, looking for a bargain in terms of, cheap diesel or whatever, well, it was just tough if, you had to face the consequences if you got it. But I mean, it's very, very unfair to, have people going into the likes of, to all the reputable service stations and coming out and going down the road and their car blows up. I mean, it's just very, very unfair. And the difficulty is, as I said to you, going back to the insurance companies now, and the insurance companies are not actually honouring it at all, We don't, I will stress, Billy, that we don't just do diesel for private people. I mean, actually, that's quite in the minority. We do diesel samples for car dealers, fleet management companies, agricultural machinery contractors, fixed land contractors, facility management companies, and even the service stations now feel a little bit, I get the impression anyway from the outside looking in, is they feel a little bit kind of hung out to dry, really, because I suppose at the end of the day, if the delivery truck pulls up and, they deliver, 35,000 litres of diesel at any one delivery or whatever, and then Billy McCarthy or John Goff comes in, and we get a fill up, and our car blows up. I mean, the buck stops with them. We automatically will go back to the service station,
Yeah.
And they're feeling now, I suppose, a little bit maybe hung out to dry on that one, because to be perfectly honest with you, I mean, we're finding here, I mean, I'm not doing any research at the moment on this thing, and I wouldn't do so until, an oil company comes along and offers us that. I wouldn't be financially viable to do that. But as I said to you, like, we're getting trends, we're seeing trends. And I mean, it's all trending towards, certain things. Like, for instance, I can tell you that, like, I can advise your listeners there, sure, that, if you're going down to fill tonight or any other night or whatever, and you see a truck filling, a delivery to a garage, my advice to you would be to just drive past, because you see, essentially, we're not dealing with diesel as we knew it anymore. This thing came as a result of this, environmental cleanup, environmental pollution type of thing. We know we're polluting the atmosphere, we're choking the atmosphere with carbon dioxide. We know that we're running out of fossil fuel and we need an alternative. But having said that, I think, honestly, to be perfectly honest with you, that it's never been so mistimed.
So do you suspect that it's these additives that they're putting into the stuff that's causing the problem?
Well, it's not an additive, diesel, not an additive as such, Billy.
It's how it's refined.
It's actually biodiesel. It's actually biofuel, yeah. We're controlled by, in this country, and indeed all the European countries are controlled by a piece of legislation called EN 590, which is basically the legislation for fuel quality, particularly diesel fuel quality. And EN 590 tells us that we must have, that we can have up to 7% biofuel in diesel. Okay. And that is exactly what they're running with. Now, having spoken to some of the oil companies, they assure me that they're running at about 4.15, 4.25% biodiesel. The reason for that is if they, obviously, if there's any kind of bad housekeeping there, or bad quality control or whatever, that they will, if they do jump over the mark or whatever, they have a little bit of slack to play with, like up to 7%. My situation, I mean, we feel like analysing the fuel at the moment, and our findings are showing that even up to that 7% biodiesel, it's problematic because, first of all, you have the common rail engine system now at the moment, which runs at, I'm not mechanically, my background is analytical chemistry, it's not mechanical, but I know that common rail engines now run up to, what is it, about, they run to tremendously high pressures, right, and they run to tremendously low tolerances. So, like, obviously, biofuel, in a nutshell, biofuel is just not suiting that situation at the moment, The problem with biofuel as well is that what people don't realise is that biofuel is obviously, it's hygroscopic. It takes in atmospheric moisture. Now, I don't have to tell you, I'm looking out the window here in the airport, I don't have to tell you the moisture-laden atmosphere that we live in this country. So,
John, have you a mobile phone there?
I haven't, no.
No, there's some interference. Is there a radio on the background? No?
No, there isn't, no, sorry, Billy.
Okay, fine, just keep going. Okay,
you're okay now?
Yeah.
But, basically, it's like the properties of biofuel are, number one, it's hygroscopic. It takes in atmospheric moisture. I suppose it's an analyst's dream, I suppose, really, when you're doing biodiesel that's contaminated in terms of, you can follow on all the tests. So, like, if you have biofuel, we said it takes in atmospheric moisture. As soon as moisture in biodiesel will actually cause corrosive compounds. It oxidizes the diesel and forms organic acids, which cause corrosive compounds, the formation of corrosive compounds. And it's those corrosive compounds that actually attack the metallic components of systems, of engine systems.
Okay, so you bring your car to you, or you bring the sample of the diesel to you. You test it, and you find out what's wrong with it. Mm-hmm. What happens then?
We issue a report anyway, a signed report that we stand over 100%. Usually what happens is that the client would take the sample down, back down to the service station or whatever. I didn't hear your report there earlier on about the gentleman with the problem, but apparently he was told to prove it. Is that right?
Yeah, he was told to prove it.
Yeah, that would be kosher. That would be typical reaction, like, from the service stations. I suppose, first of all, in answer to your question, Billy, I suppose it depends really on how much he has incurred in terms of repairing.
I suppose, as a consumer, what he's bought was not fit for purpose, so therefore, under consumer law, he or she would have some fallback.
Absolutely. Well, usually these things are ending up in the small claims courts. Like, I attend a lot of district court and circuit court. hearings as an expert witness. Like, obviously, if I do the report, if I do the analysis, if I do the report, I have to stand over the report, so I'm sometimes summoned to court. And these are, so they come in the small claims court. I don't know what it is. The maximum on it is probably 12 grand or 15 grand or something like that. I don't know. But there are a lot of cases coming that way, Now, I will stress that, like, we're not doing a huge amount of private work as such. So we do a lot of work for the car dealers. We do. The motor assessors would be a big one now. The motor assessors are obviously the people that would assess, damage to a car, like for insurance companies and stuff like that. Now, I know for a fact that a lot of those are going to court as well,
Okay, John, thanks for that.
You're very welcome, Billy.
Appreciate
no problem.
it. God bless you. Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye-bye now.
Bye-bye. That's John Goff, and you heard him on Monday's Data AM. And John is of JHG Analytics. I got that wrong. JHG Analytical Services, beg your pardon, in Cologne. And we thank him for his time.
F1.
Well,